So Brian, Ranger, and I are out on the Mt Lola trail. It's only about 7 miles in. Just kind of a short overnight trip. Sort of a practice hike, getting ready for the Highline Trail, but also sometimes it's just important to spend a night in the woods. So we're spending a night in the woods. Part of the planning for this trip is I have a bunch of new gear that I wanted to test before I got onto the Uinta Highline Trail, because I don't want to get all the way out there, in a whole different state and find out something's not working for me. So we'll talk about that more when we get to the campsite. But if you follow my Instagram, you probably already know what most of it is. And if you don't follow my Instagram, you probably should. If you're here, it should be there. But when we get to camp, I'll break out all the new stuff and go over it piece by piece. All right, well, we made it to camp, got everything all set up. And so, as promised, I'm gonna go over some of the stuff I'm gonna carry on the Uinta Highline Trail, which is less than 30 days out. I'm actually getting really excited about that trip. First, I wanna go over a couple of things I will not be carrying that I do have on this trip. First one of those is my bear can. I need it on this trip because of where we are, but I will not need it on the Uinta Highline Trail. So my food will be in 2 food bags. We have a 7-day food carry because there's not any resupply points. So I've got 2 food bags I'm gonna split up, and the rationale behind having 2 is that I will be able to kind of wiggle things around and organize my pack a little better. If I have just one giant food bag, then it just occupies the space that it occupies. If I split my food into 2 bags, I've got a little bit more room to wiggle things around and just kind of organize my pack a little more comfortably. So, speaking of my pack, this is a relatively new piece of gear for me. I've taken it on 3 trips, 4 trips, I think. I've got about 100 miles on it either way, however many trips that was. And it is from Pilgrim Ultralight, and it is a 45-liter Roan. I'm a big fan of this pack. The main body is made from the Ultra 200, so it's a very strong, very durable material. It's all seam sealed on the inside, so you get a little extra protection from the weather. And it's got these massive side pockets, which are the Ultra Grid. I chose the avocado. It's my favorite color in the Ultra Grid. And I can fit 2 bottles in here pretty comfortably. Even like one of like the 1.5 liters and then just a 1 liter. So it's got a lot of carrying capacity. It's got 4 external pockets, which is pretty cool. You've got this big, massive front pocket, which is the Ultra Stretch material. It's got these 2 upper deck pockets, which are my favorite feature of the pack. They're also the Ultra Stretch material. So with these, I keep my water filter and dirty bag in one side, and then I keep my hygiene kit in the other side, so that when I need those items, because you know, those are 2 of your most frequently used backpacking items. So when I need those items, I know exactly where they are. I don't have to open my pack. I don't have to dig around in this big, huge pocket on the front. I can just go to whichever side it is I'm using, grab my water filter, good to go, grab my hygiene kit, good to go. And then the 4th pocket is this bottom Ultra Stretch pocket, which I wasn't sure how useful this would be, to be totally honest. But I have found that it is the perfect place to put a paper map. So I can just reach in while I'm still wearing my pack. I can just reach right in there, pull out my paper map, figure out where I am, slide it right back in. So that is the backpack I will be carrying. Now, out of the box, brand new from Pilgrim Ultralight, this pack weighed 24 ounces. I added an additional shoulder water bottle pouch, and I added a hip belt pouch, and I added some additional cordage so I can lash some extra stuff on the outside, or if I have like wet clothes, or if the rain fly for my shelter is wet, I can lash that to the outside and let it dry. So all told, with the additions that I made, I'm at 27 ounces with this pack, which is pretty great for a fully framed 45-liter backpack. It's got this cool carbon frame, which is like an inverted U shape, and it's super comfortable. It carries really well. I carried this pack on the TCT, and at my heaviest with the water carries on that trail, because that trail is very, very dry, I was probably around 32 pounds, and you wouldn't have known it. It was so comfortable up to that weight, just over 30 pounds. I don't know that I'd recommend putting any more than 30 pounds in it, but at 32 pounds, it was wicked comfortable. I really enjoy this pack. Up next is my sleep system. So I've got my Nemo Tensor all-season sleeping pad. It is not my favorite sleeping pad. I'm gonna be very, very honest. Sleeping pads are a difficult product to buy because they're either very, very comfortable but not super warm. They're very, very warm but not super comfortable, or they lack durability. My favorite sleeping pad was the Sea to Summit Etherlite XT, and it failed on me twice. So it is easily the most comfortable pad I've ever slept on, and I'll never carry one again. The Nemo is a close second. It's a pretty comfortable pad. It's very, very warm. It's like, I think the R value is like 5.5 or something like that. I'll have to double check that, and I'll put some text on the screen. So it's a very warm pad. It's pretty comfortable. It's not as comfortable as the Sea to Summit, but in the checklist of things that I want from a sleeping pad, it checks more boxes than any other pad available. So the quilt I'll be carrying for the Highline Trail, and it's the one I have with me on this trip as well, is my 20 degree Enlightened Equipment Apex Revelation. Originally, I was going to bring my 30 degree, which has a closed foot box. This one has an open foot box with a little zipper. I can zip it up, and there's a drawstring on the end. So I can open it up and use it more as just like a flat quilt, or I can close everything up and use it more as like a traditional quilt and block out all of the air. The rationale behind changing was with the 30 degree quilt, I was a little worried because I think we're going to be in for some chilly nights up there. Most of the Uinta Highline Trail is over 10,000 feet. So we could have some colder nights. The 30 degree would maybe not be quite warm enough, so I was going to supplement it with a bag liner. As it happens, my 20 degree quilt minus the bag liner is about 8 ounces lighter than the 30 degree with the liner. So I kind of made that decision based on weight, because we are, again, going to have that 7 days worth of food to carry right out of the gate. So I'm trying to keep all the rest of my gear as light as possible, just so that the food carry part of it's not such a burden, and then my pack will just get lighter and lighter and lighter every single meal. To finish out my sleep system, I have my Sea to Summit Aeros Premium. I just recently picked this pillow up. It's a newer addition to my kit. I've probably got 8 or 9 nights on it so far, and already I like it more than my Nemo Philo Elite. This little curved part sits nice and comfortable on my shoulders. It's got this nice kind of fuzzy velour almost coating all sides. It doesn't slip off my sleeping pad. It's just a more comfortable pillow. In terms of insulation, I'll be carrying the Outdoor Vitals Vario. This is the full zip version. I've really enjoyed this jacket. It's super, super light, and the warmth to weight ratio is fantastic. So I'm kind of rolling the dice on this because this is the only insulation layer that I'm going to carry. But because we're going to be doing bigger days, we'll be hiking, 16 to 20 miles every single day. Camp on this trip is basically just going to be for eating and sleeping. So if we're out there and I'm too cold for what the Vario can handle, I'll just go to bed. Just climb into the quilt and use my quilt as an insulation layer. There's not going to be a lot of time like hanging out at camp. We're not bringing chairs. We're not doing any of that kind of stuff because camp is really just going to be for sleeping and eating. In terms of a rain jacket, which is probably going to be one of the most important pieces of equipment on this trip. We are headed into monsoon season when we get onto the Highline Trail, so a quality raincoat is going to be pretty important. So again, Outdoor Vitals. This is the Tusher, and I have not had a chance to use this jacket yet. I just got it last week, and it rained a bunch at home the week before I got the jacket, and then basically the day it showed up, the storms all cleared out, so I didn't really get to test it. I'm confident that it's going to do the job it's designed to do. It gets fantastic reviews. It is ridiculously lightweight. It's very comfortable, even with an insulation layer underneath. So this could also double
as kind of an extra insulation layer. I put it over the Vario as like a wind jacket, retain some of my body heat a little bit. So that is the rain jacket I will be carrying. In terms of other clothing, I'm not bringing a lot. I gotta be real honest. So what I'm wearing right now, I have the Outdoor Vitals Altitude hoodie. I have these shorts from Kuhl. I think that's how you pronounce it, Kuhl. I'm probably mispronouncing that, but whatever. You guys know what I'm talking about. My Darn Tough socks and my Topo Terra Venture 4 sneakers, trail runners. So what I'm wearing right now is what I'll be wearing for that trip. In this bag is what I'll be carrying in addition to my wearables. So I have a second altitude hoodie so that I have something to change into at camp that doesn't smell bad. This is the lightest shirt that I own out of all of the shirts, hiking related or not. This is the lightest one. So that's the only reason I'm bringing two of these, is because this is the lightest top that I own. I have some tights to sleep in, just like a base layer pair of tights. These are the 32-degree heat. I got them at Costco for next to nothing. This is something that has become wildly important to me as an older hiker. These are compression socks because I'm an old man and my legs cramp and my feet hurt. So I sleep in these and they help me recover. I've done this now. I did it for the whole TCT and I did it for the hike just before the TCT. And these are worth their weight 10 times over. I feel so much better in the morning. It's ridiculous how valuable these are and how much they enhance my experience on trail. I recover faster. I feel stronger and healthier in the morning. I cannot recommend picking up a quality pair of compression socks enough. And I spent a fair amount on these. They're a fancy brand that I can't pronounce, but they were 45 bucks and worth every penny and worth every ounce. I have a backup pair of my Darn Tough socks, just because it's always kind of a good idea to have a clean pair of socks. You never know, your feet could get wet. All kinds of things can happen on trail and ruin your socks. So I'm carrying one extra pair of the Darn Tough socks. And then I have these really light liner, these are just like Mountain Hardwear liners that'll act as gloves. You know, if we're sitting around camp and my hands are cold, I can put these on, or first thing in the morning when we're making breakfast, things like that. And then my beanie, which has gone with me on every trip since I've had it. I love this thing. And this is from Mountain Blaze. You can find them on Instagram. Cool local company. They live near the Appalachian Trail, and they hand knit these. So very, very cool product. And that's it. That's what I'm carrying for clothes. For my cook kit, nothing super fancy. It's my Toaks 750, my Pika lid, which is one of my favorite new pieces of gear. I have really enjoyed using this thing. I bought it on the beta run. I don't know that these are actually available on Garage Grown Gear yet, but they will be very soon. Cannot recommend this thing enough. Just clips right on, fairly tight to your lid. Sometimes it can be difficult to get off. Your fuel canister fits right inside there. And then if you have the Bic Mini lighter, which I don't, the Bic Mini lighter sits right inside here, which is also very cool. And one of my favorite features of this thing, it has a conversion chart on the top here. So you have cups to ounces to milliliters. Because you know, if you've backpacked any length of time and you carry those boil and bag meals, sometimes it tells you, oh, you need this many cups. Well, you need this many milliliters. You need this many ounces. I am not smart enough to know how to do those conversions in my brain. So my lid does them for me. And then it has this little slot to slide your spoon in. Very handy piece of equipment. I have my camp towel. in here, and just my pocket rocket that I've had for I don't even know how long, but it's a great stove. It works. It's kind of one of those if it ain't broke, don't fix it situations. I know there are more efficient stoves. I know there are lighter stoves. I know there are stoves with built-in igniters, but this has never failed me. So I'm gonna keep carrying it until it does. And then this is another cool part of my cook kit. I found this on Etsy, and it is a little windscreen. Put it together. I usually put it together, you know, better than that. Typically I can get it on the first try. Of course, while I'm filming, why would things work out? Yeah, there you go. And then that just sits right on the pocket rocket and just keeps the wind from blowing your flame out. So I've got these last couple things here this is an ultralight Saks little cube bag. There's a link in my bio if you want to check out ultralight Saks. This is basically my first aid kit. I've got Band-Aids, moleskin, ibuprofen, which is wildly important at my age, bug spray. I've got my bug net in here, my sunscreen's in here, and then a little tube of Aquifer, which I cannot recommend enough. This is the best thing I found for treating chapped lips and chapped other places. It's a good thing to carry. I carry 2 tubes. One of them I have marked specifically for my lips, and the other one I have marked for elsewhere. You know what I'm talking about. You never want to mix up your aquifers. You know, if you've used it on your butt, you don't really want to put that in your mouth. So I carry 2, and one of them says lips, so that I know it didn't touch my butt. So the rest of my stuff sacks are brand new. This is the first trip I've ever taken them out on, and these are all from my buddy Devin at Backcountry Exposure, who coincidentally is hiking the Uinta Highline Trail with me. So he made me this cool little steak bag in the avocado Ultra Grid, so it matches my backpack. And then a new electronics bag. This I'm really excited about. So in here I have my battery bank to keep my phone and my camera charged. I have my headlamp, which is just the Petzl something or other. I don't know. This thing's, it's the Bindi. It says it right there. Petzl Bindi. I have had this thing for about 6 years and it's never let me down. So I'm just going to keep carrying it until it does. Got my charging cords. And the cool thing about this new electronics bag from Backcountry Exposure is it's got a gusseted bottom. So it holds a little bit more stuff. It can stand up on its own, which I think is kind of cool. And it fits my Kindle. So now my Kindle's not just floating around loose in my bag, bouncing off everything. It just goes in my electronics bag with all my other electronics. Imagine that. And then I just got this. It's just a little thermometer so that I can tell what the temperature is when we're camping. Not really a necessary item by any stretch of the imagination, but it's a fun thing to have. Like, I just want to wait, you know, if I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm freezing cold and I want to know how cold I am, this will tell me. In this Backcountry Exposure bag, again, in the fancy avocado, I have all of my hygiene stuff. So I've got my trowel, I've got my hand sanitizer, I've got my TP, all that good stuff. And that just lives right there in that upper deck pocket. So, all right, on to the thing I know you all want me to talk about, and the thing you've been staring at behind me as I go through all these other little items that you probably don't care much about. My new shelter. I bit the bullet and I bought an X-Dome 1P. This is my second pitch of it. My first pitch was in my backyard. So this is my first like field pitch. This will be the first time I'm sleeping in the tent. So I can't really tell you how much I like it or don't like it. I'm impressed with a lot of things. The vestibule space is incredible. The materials I feel like are very durable. This is like a 15 denier polyester. It's kind of a newer product. So far, so good. I'll report back after I have some nights in it, but let's take a little tour of the X-Dome. The pole set is just one single piece, so you don't have a bunch of little mini pieces floating around and getting lost, which I am known for losing pole set pieces. It's carbon fiber, so it's very, very strong, very, very durable. The carbon fiber poles, honestly, are one of the things I'm hesitant about. I'm not going to say I don't like them because I don't really have any experience with them, but when an aluminum pole meets a major windstorm, it'll bend. When a carbon fiber pole meets that same kind of stress, it'll break. So I'm a little concerned about that aspect of it. One of the things Durston did that I think is really cool is you have these extra straps here. So these wrap around and you make extra little guy out points. So there are 8 of those total on the pole sets, and then you have extra guy out points at the peak crossbar and here on the end, but where the roof vents are. And it does have big giant roof vents on both the head and foot end. So that's pretty nice to, for condensation management. One of the things I really think is cool is the way the poles attach. You have these metal clips, and these are really lightweight. I think there's some kind of an aluminum. I'm not 100% sure about that. But the pole just clips in, and it clips into the inner and the outer at the same time. So it makes it a completely freestanding tent. You can stake out the vestibule like I have it done, but you don't have to. The tent will stand completely on its own with the door zipped up. So far, I think it's going to be great. You have a massive amount of vestibule space, just like almost an obscene amount of vestibule space. And then the inner, which I think is fairly clever, they took basically the one person X-mid floor and they pushed the whole back out and got rid of the second vestibule. So you've got a 50-inch floor here at the head end and a 29-inch floor there at the foot end. And the way the shelter is designed, you could sleep at either end. I've got it set up with my head at the big end because I have Ranger with me on this trip. And he's gonna sleep right here in the big corner part. So yeah, I mean, oh yeah, big giant pocket. I love pockets in tents. I like keeping my gear organized. So the fact that it has a pocket, big bonus for me. Those are my dirty socks drying on the top. You can ignore those. That's really all I know about the X-Dome. I gotta be honest, because I haven't even slept in it yet. So I think it's gonna be great. I'll report back in the morning. One of the things I wanted to accomplish on this trip, because this is my first field pitch of the X-Dome, I wanted to make these guy lines. There's loops attached to the X-Dome, and you're supposed to put guy lines on them, give the pole set a little more stability in really high winds or inclement weather. So I came up with this idea to make these kind of mountaineers triangles. I could just making that name up. I don't know if that's really what they're called, but it feels like they should be called that because I've seen them on mountaineering tents. That's where I got the idea from. So what I did was I took some extra guy line, put a loop at one end and a carabiner at the other. So I put the loop through the top loop on the X-Dome, bring it down, and it makes this little triangle shape, and then I have a slide lock that goes down to a stake. So now I'm utilizing all 8 of those guy out points, but I only have to carry 4 extra stakes. And
I think it's going to work pretty good. It seems like it's adding a lot of stability to the pole set. Granted, where we are right now, it's not crazy high winds, but I think this is going to work out pretty good. I'm pretty excited with my little creation here.
Well, that is it for gear that I will be carrying on the Uinta Highline Trail and gear that I'm carrying on this overnight trip. One little note I wanted to talk about, and it's something I thought about on trail, and I meant to talk about it then, but I didn't, so I'll just do it now. These kind of little trips, these single overnight trips, even if you're just hiking, you know, we hiked in 7 miles, and we'll hike back out the same 7 miles tomorrow. These kind of trips are so important. Like, not every trip can be a multi-day through hike. Not every trip can be some giant epic adventure. Sometimes you just need to sleep in the dirt. And that's what we're doing tonight. We're using this as an opportunity to train a little bit for the Uinta Highline Trail. So I picked this trail on purpose because it's got some significant elevation gain both directions. So we came all the way up, we summited Mt Lola, which is like 9137 or 9132 or something like that. We came all the way down. We're now at White Rock Lake, and tomorrow we'll retrace our steps. So we'll have big elevation gain both days. And that is kind of gonna be the story of the Uinta Highline Trail. That whole trail is up over 10,000 feet, and you go up over multiple passes. So this is a good training hike, and it's just fun to get out even for a single night and sleep in the dirt. I think these kind of trips are super, super valuable. And I know for a lot of folks, these are the only kind of trips they can take. And I think the way backpacking is presented on social media and on YouTube, you know, you may feel like you're not a real backpacker if all you do is these single overnight trips. And I am here to assure you that if you strap a pack on your back and you walk through the dirt and you sleep in the dirt, you are in fact a backpacker. And don't let anyone tell you otherwise. That is all I've got for you today. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and we will talk again soon.